Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? We're here again for a Saturday night. Well, Saturday night if you're in America, if you're in Australia. Actually, our microphone looks weird. Saturday night for you guys, Sunday afternoon down here. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Melbourne time. It's good to see you all. Good to see you all. Yeah, last night we did a great live show, like 2 hours long. I hop off the air and we get copyright struck. We got I don't know I don't know how they it was one of the news clips that we showed. So I had to pull the video and I edited it out the bit that was offending, and it was supposed to re-upload overnight and it never did. So I don't know what's going on, but there's no replay of last night's show right now. I have to figure out what's going on. It said something like it would be done after processing, but it never actually did it. So I don't know. I've never seen it do that. Normally, you just click the buttons, take out, trim out the bit, scroll through the show, find the bit that's offending, clip it out, and then re-upload as a new video. But I don't know. It just didn't work. I'll try again and try get the replay back up because it was a really good show. We had a great night last night. It was a really lot of people here. We had like a full house last night. There was at least like 50, 70 people hanging out here. It was a great night. So we got more true crime today, including this story out of Australia. I feel like it just never ends. My time in true crime has taught me that it doesn't matter what the year says on the calendar, that we're still going to have women being killed. It just seems to be. I don't know how we're ever going to solve this or teach people not to hurt people, but it's probably a tale as old as time, as sad as that is. Here I'll show you. So this is Kara Jade Weribone, and she was shot at her home. Shot, not like stabbed or anything. Like someone had a gun and shot her on Christmas Street in North Toowoomba in southeast Queensland about 1:50 p.m. on Wednesday this week. They say she was found nearby. What? She's from nearby Williston. Was found critically injured at the scene with multiple gunshot wounds. She was rushed to the Toowoomba hospital where she later died. They say two men were treated at the scene, one aged in his 50s with a head injury and another man for emotional distress. They say the acting detective inspector Brian Collins earlier said three associates of the woman were taken into custody. Well, now we have people that have actually gone before a court over this. A 29-year-old man was arrested in Roma, 350 kilometers northwest of Toowoomba, at 11:35 a.m. on Saturday. He is now set to front court in the Toowoomba Magistrates Court on March 3rd, which is tomorrow morning. So as soon as court opens tomorrow morning, he'll be due to face court over this death of this young lady. So very awful. I mean, I'm so sick of hearing about it. I really am. I keep telling people I'm going to change my channel to a different name, which the name would be "This is how women are killed." And I swear to God, that would probably be a lot more subscribers than what I get now, because people would be like, "Oh, that's a real thing that happens every day." But it's not in like I'm not doing it as a joke. It's just like every second story I do is about how some woman has been killed by a romantic partner, a friend, uh, I don't know, people in her life. It's crazy. It really is. Uh, yeah. So this young lady, here's a photo of her here, shot and killed in Toowoomba. It's not they're not the stories that I like to do. I like to do stories where people get home to their families. I like to do stories where there's hope in the world. Something good happens. Like the other day, we had two Amber Alerts resolved in the same 24-hour period, and they both got home to their families. I love that. That was like one of my favorite days in true crime this year because we got to get two young girls, 15 years old, back to their families, away from traffickers. I was very happy with that. But then to come on tonight and have to tell you about how this woman had her life taken for what seems like no reason. and a lot of yeah. Apparently here, according to this article, her brother died in November. So this is a very hard, like half a year for this family. Not only did they lose their daughter to a violent crime, it sounds like they also lost a son to something a few months ago. It doesn't tell me how he died, but yeah, so they're saying one neighbor said she heard gunshots and ran outside and saw Miss Weribone lying on the footpath. There were unconfirmed reports that the woman was shot multiple times with a 22 caliber rifle. And the violent crime against people just has to stop. It just these are not the ways to resolve arguments between people. Defending yourself with a firearm is like sort of one thing. Um, just using it as a force to get your way in some sort of domestic issue is just horrid. It really is. I think even people who are advocates of firearms would tell you that this is not the people they want having firearms. They want responsible people who take it very seriously and don't use them as a threat, like random threats against their own partners and people in their family and things like that. Yeah, it's very sad. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of reading about women dying. I think in the last year I did a count. We did something like over 238 cases where a woman was killed somewhere in the world by violent crime, like but intimate violent crime, like within her family, a partner, an associate, something like that. It was just ridiculous. Hi, my 70-year-old friend. How are you? I get to call you that now. It's like a mark of respect. Like, when you see the queen, you got to like curtsy and then, salute or something. I don't know. But hey, you're now the matriarch of the channel. I think that's what we have to call you. I don't think there's any other option. So it's now your new title. All right. Yeah, so that's the update for that. A guy, he'll be in court tomorrow morning. I have some photos of him if you guys want to see it. Looks very suspiciously like the guy on the stretcher right here. I don't know if it is, and I don't know why his face is blurred out or why his arms are in the air, but I can tell you that there is a photo floating about that shows the offender. Here, I'll show it to you. Hold on. Ping's got to find his links. All right, here. Here is the charged accused right here. And if I go to me links here, it says his name is Joel. No, James Joel Ramsey. He's 29 years old and he has been charged with murder of Kara. So he is the one that will face court tomorrow morning. He does look very much like the guy on the stretcher, right? He does. I don't know if it is, but it just sort of yeah, it is. Over 200 and 236, 238. We did a count and yeah, it was getting close to 300 cases last year. You're welcome, my lady. Rachel said we had a murder 15 minutes from here last week. Our community isn't used to this. I think you would find that a lot of communities have quite high female mortality. Burnt Popcorn said, my husband refuses to argue because his dad was a rageaholic and once broke down a door to get one of the kids. Shocking. I'm happy he's decided to break the cycle and become a better guy. I like that. Penguin says, hey, we're sick all day. You've been sick, my friend? That's not good. I mean, I've heard that there's like a crazy flu going around in the northern hemisphere, and we're just about to go into our winter season down here. And I'm like, I should get a flu shot. I should take some echinacea. I should like build a moat. Viruses can't jump moats of water apparently, so I'm going to make a moat around my apartment. I'm going to get a shark with a laser, maybe something like that. And then hopefully I won't get the flu. I had the flu last year. Do you guys remember that? I was gone for like 3, 4, 5 days, something like that. I couldn't even speak. And you all picked up that I was sick before I even knew. That everyone in the chat's like, Ping, you sound a little weird. Why do you sound like that? Your voice sounds bizarre. What is going on?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about it." Next day, it felt like a truck had hit me. And, yeah, you guys actually picked it up before I did. Rachel said, "Ex-boyfriend shot new boyfriend. He waited in his house overnight." Well, I can have a look at that in a minute. Get some vitamin C. I'll get all the vitamin numbers, all the vitamin letters. I have them all. The B's, the A's, the 84s. I don't know what the other ones are, but I'll get them all. Nikki says 38 here in Perth today, Ping. We've been going through a heat wave down here, but it's sort of died off now. Thank the freaking Lord. It has been it's been hot as nuts down here for a while. Let me see. Where are we? WA, Perth. Perth is currently 34.1 degrees, but I reckon if you were a little further north or a little further inland, it's probably hotter than 34. Perth is almost like WA, for people who don't know, here, I'll show you. This is WA here. So this is Australia. This is the east coast on this side. This is the part that look, it's not very nice, but this is the part of Australia that most people know or media pays attention to. It's Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland. It's sort of like that East Coast versus West Coast of America, where East Coast bias tends to be a thing. Well, same in Australia, the East Coast tends to get a majority of the media coverage, but WA is a massive state. Look at this. It takes up almost a third of the Australian landmass. And it's a very interesting, like environmental region because you have you can see on the map, there's a lot of greenery. Here, I'll see if I can make it bigger. There you go. There's a lot of greenery in this southwest corner here. So a lot of trees and forests and things like that. But as you get like further north up here, you end up in the what they call like the gold pan or uh, like the desert. Basically, it's all red desert up through here, and you get these interesting clashes of different types of weather through here. So you often get these cold fronts that come through and move east. So they cut off through this corner. That's why this corner is so green because you get all these systems that move through over this edge. And this region up here gets a lot less rain unless they get like I don't know, like hurricane or something. So it's a really interesting dynamic. WA has some of the most varied weather that I've ever studied. It is really interesting. They often get tornadoes out here too, that often go undetected. So really interesting for our friends in WA. They got very interesting landscape, weather, variable depending on how far north you are or east you are. It's a fun place. Nikki says, "So true. We are forgotten over here." It's weird because growing up on the east coast of Australia, I've never lived on the west coast. I'm an east coast boy. I've lived in every state on the eastern seaboard, but we don't really think a lot about WA. And I know that sounds bad, but we just don't. Like we're not like, oh, they're because WA is 3 hours behind us. Wait, 3 hours behind? Yes. Yes, they're 3 hours behind. So right now it's like 4 o'clock. I think it's like 1 p.m. for them in WA. So they're 3 hours behind us right now. So yeah. Yes, I know it's really far south right now. That cyclone in Queensland has come so far south. It's almost near the New South Wales border. It's really impressive. I don't know if I've seen a cyclone get so far south without hitting land and disintegrating. It's really interesting. Here, hold on. Can we go? Where is it? Satellite images. Let's go here. So it's really good. It's really gone. That's not what I want. There we go. I don't know. It doesn't look very strong anymore. You see this eye wall is starting to collapse, and you start seeing this like transparency through the top half of the cyclone here. This shows that the cyclone's really petering out. You're not seeing that strong like rotation around the eye wall, and there's not a ton of like what we call high top activity. And high top activity is thunderstorm development around the eye. Not seeing a lot of that, seeing a lot of wispy, Not a lot of strong convection. It is really dying off. It's probably a category 1 or less by now. It has to be. Yeah, it's so transparent through here now. It's almost looking like almost like a cold front. If you look at that banding on that bottom, that's the only place with the development of thunderstorms through here, and that's probably due to this coming down. Yeah, there's nothing around the eye though. See, you're not seeing any of that high top activity that you see on the southern band up here near the circulation. So this is a dying hurricane or a dying cyclone. Sorry, cyclone in the southern hemisphere. Let me see what the forecast is. Track motion. It's still a category 2. Oh, wow. Is it? It looks really oh, no, no, no. Okay, sorry. Okay, so it's died off. Wow, weird. Here, I'll show you. Uh, it was a category 2. It's now decreased to a category 1, but they're saying there is a chance of a ramp up again to a category 2 as it takes a very, hard, like, left turn sorry, right turn. Ping, you gotta say correct things. Straight for Brisbane. Brisbane may actually cop a cyclone. That's like pretty rare. It doesn't happen that often. Happens like once every 5 to 8 years that a cyclone actually makes it so far south that Brisbane ends up being affected. It must be decent water temperatures off the coast that's keeping this thing going, but doesn't look that good on the radar. It looks really bad. Robbie says, I just drove up from Pomona. Not a lot of wind or rain there yet. I don't see anything over the coast as of yet. It all seems to be generating. Yeah, there's only like some light banding up the coast here. You can see just off the edge. Most of it's offshore still. But if this does come further south and take a right turn here, that'll be very interesting for Brisbane. Very interesting. There you go. You see how Australia's weather works there. I don't know how we got into this. Yeah, it does look like it's. I don't know why it's going to get a boost back up to Cat 2. That maybe there's better conditions. I see there may be some interference over here to the west of the cyclone, and it may, as it moves further south, get into some better air very slightly, and that's maybe why it's going to bump back up to a Cat 2. But yeah, you see all this mess behind it here that's probably affecting it. I'll have to look at the rest of the synoptic maps and things like that, but that's what it looks like to me. It looks like there's yeah. If I show you here, there's all this. I can't zoom in on it enough. There's all this here, and this is probably some sort of looks like another low pressure system over here or something, but probably some sort of sheared environment where it's not allowing this cyclone to ramp up anymore. But as it comes further south, maybe it clears some of this, and then that's why, even in its weakening state, it's still going to make that massive right turn and then hit Brisbane. I don't know. I'd have to have a look at the forecast for it. It's hard to tell, but yeah, very interesting. Not often that Brisbane gets a cyclone so far south. They normally don't come this far south. Normally they'll start up here or out here, and they sort of travel, and they'll come and just hit further north. Like they don't normally travel down the coastline. They just sort of whack into Australia and die off. This one heading so far south, and it looks like it's getting pushed. Yeah, okay. So that's good. It looks like it's probably getting forced down this way by the other weather surrounding it. Anyway, I don't work at the National Weather Service, so I don't know. All right, let's get away from this. Hope all the people in Brisbane will be okay. I hope they will be. But yeah, I will bring you more tomorrow on that 27-year-old woman. That is awful, right? 29-year-old man charged with that murder. Actually, let me see if I can get you a thing, because Ping loves to mispronounce people's names. It's like my favorite pastime, and I want to show you. Actually, why is yeah? All right, I want to show you the original news release for this particular thing. Yeah, here we go. So this is the original one from Channel 9. So the gunman has now been arrested, but this was back when it happened.
A gunman remains at large in Toowoomba a day after a 27-year-old mother was gunned down. Let's go live to Jacob Chico, who's on the ground for us. Jacob, are police any closer to finding the shooter?
Well, Melissa, a lot of police resources are going into this investigation because more than 24 hours on, that shooter remains at large. 3 people were arrested yesterday afternoon near Christmas Street, where 27-year-old mother Cara Weribone was gunned down and killed. Police have confirmed, though, those 3 people who are associates of the victim, they've been released after extensive questioning overnight without charge. So far for police, CCTV has been absolutely key for this investigation as they try to work out what a motive was and what the circumstances are leading up to this shooting. Police have released images of a white Toyota Camry sedan seen at Christmas Street before and after this shooting. They say it is linked, and they're asking anyone with information on the people who were inside this car or anyone who may have seen the vehicle in the moments before and after to come forward.
At this point in time, we're uncertain as to what has happened, and that's why we're calling for assistance from the public. We're still looking at trying to troll through CCTV footage.
Police have reaffirmed, Melissa, there's no ongoing threat to the public. They say this is a targeted and not a random attack.
Jacob, thank you.
You know, brutal. It's brutal. By the way, you see on the screen right here, if you're a sports fan, a Niners fan, Deebo Samuel traded from the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers, my team, traded one of our stalwart wide receivers taken from us, traded from us, and he's going to Washington to play for the Commanders. So any Commanders fans in the house, you have a new player, Deebo Samuel. Great guy. I really liked him on the Niners. He seemed to have had a pretty bad year last year. Had a really down year. Came in, unfortunately, overweight, 25 pounds. He was playing throughout the season, probably about 25 pounds overweight. Had a lot of illnesses and injuries, but when he's in shape and strong and fit, he's a great dynamic player. So Washington will have a great time with him. Hope they succeed. All right, Blaze has caught up on 150, 1.5. Okay. Well, we were basically talking about nothing for like 20 minutes. So that's okay. I kind of wanted to just slow roll it because I wanted people to find the show because there's no alert that went out. There was no notification. But yes, there you go. There's that update. I will bring you more tomorrow morning when he's due in court. I will tell you what, he's probably going to get remanded. I don't think he will get bail. Not on you can't get any. He's going to a magistrate's court, which means he can't apply for bail anyway. So that bail will probably be formally refused tomorrow. If he wants to try for a bail application, he'll probably have to go to a superior or some sort of superior court, Supreme Court, something like that. Magistrates' courts tend not to be able to do bail for a murder charge. So we've seen that before. We saw that with Tweedledee and Tweedledum a few months ago. By the way, I'm keeping an eye on those two. If I hear more about Tweedledee and Tweedledum, I will let you know. But those two currently in jail. Yes. All right. Let's keep going. So it's Saturday night. Hope everyone's having a great night. Did I see that Marilyn Landis was out on the town? Let me have a look. Hey guys. Hey Burnt Popcorn. Good to see you. Where's Marilyn? Marilyn. She's out tonight. I hope you're having a great night with your boyfriend, Marilyn. Is that your hunky boyfriend you're with? I hope it is. Hey, Catatonic. Good to see you, my friend. I appreciate it. Rachel said, thanks for your weather lessons. Maybe one day I'll actually do a very basic weather forecasting and radar watching video for people. For people, like, it would be very entry level. Just to give people like the basic knowledge of what you're supposed to be looking for on the radar so that you can keep yourself safe out there. It's not hard. It's not super complex. It's just that you have to know what you're looking for. If you just look at a radio, you'd be like, "Oh, what are these blobs? They all look the same." But there's things in there that tell meteorologists what to look for. So I can teach you guys that at some point. Yeah, hey Natasha, how are you? Mama Mia, Catatonic. I'll say hi to everyone. Nikki, Blaze, good to see you. Robbie T, my friend, our matriarch of the channel. Rachel is here. Mama Mia, who else is up here? Burnt Popcorn, hey my friend. Good to see you. By the way, I know you sent me an email. I hope I replied to it. I remember seeing an email from you the other day. I hope I did give you a reply. If I didn't, I'll find it and I'll give you a reply. Blaze, good to see you. Who else? Robbie T. Nikki, hey Nikki. Hey my friend. Everyone's here tonight. Gail is here. I hate mornings. Kathy's here. Hey Kathy Lynch. By the way, Kathy Lynch, thank you for your donation last night. I very much appreciate it. It's very kind. Can I stand in front of a green screen? Actually, the other day, Kathy, well, and two things. One, last night after the show last night, Mrs. Ping made me clean up my entire desk area because she's like, you should be ashamed at how dirty your desk is. And I was like, I'm very ashamed. And so she made me spend 2 hours last night cleaning up my desk, the area surrounding it. She made me wash the floor. She's like, you have to clean the entire thing with like, chemicals and stuff. She's like, that's what you have to do. So we spent until like 10:30 last night cleaning my office. But the other thing, when we were cleaning up the lounge room the other day, we found some of the juggling balls. We found some. So if I can find enough of them, you may actually end up seeing the juggling. So if I can find 2 more, you might actually get a video of me juggling multiple juggling balls, which I've been able to do since I was like 12 years old. Everyone's wants me to make a video eventually. Yeah, 2 hours. Yeah. So I had to tidy it all up. I had to, because there's a lot of computer parts and stuff on here. And I had to like put them away and wrap them in stuff and box them and get them away. Because we did the computer upgrade like over Christmas and New Year. So there's a lot of like computer parts and screwdrivers and screws and stuff and old fans and heat sinks. And so it took a while to like fix it all up. Yeah. Yes, mom. Yeah. Well, she's just like, you could be more clean. She's like, you can be less of a man and actually clean some stuff up. She said, Woman Steel says, hello, my husband loves to study the weather. I got him a small weather station that he put on our roof. Like one of those ones that have a sensor on the roof. Very cool. I used to have one, but I found the connection between the sensor and the indoor unit was a little flaky, so I often didn't get very good readings from outside. But they are a lot of fun. They are a lot of fun. Maybe one day I'll do a weather show. I know that when we go into tornado season in the in the plains and the southern part of the USA, on high risk days, I will be covering tornadoes on this channel. So we've done that the last couple of years. I'll probably do it again this year. Moonlight View says so darn late. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a green screen. We got a sign back here, but it's not green. We don't have a green screen. Did I do that juggling in lieu of cleaning? No, I may have juggled some words instead of cleaning, but not juggling actual juggling balls. I actually taught myself. I got it as a present when I was like 10, 11, 12. I think one of my grandmas bought it for me. And I was just like, what am I supposed to freaking do with this? And she's like, you could teach yourself to juggle. And I was like, are you sure about this? And she's like, you love doing that type of stuff. And I was like, all right, fine. So it took me like 2 days and I had no instructions at all. And I just sort of figured it out and then kept going with it for a year or so. There's the story. It was my grandma. She gave me a gift of juggling balls when I was like, 12. And no instructions, no video. We didn't have YouTube. She's just like, here's some balls. Learn to do something with them. And I was like, all right. And learn how to do it. And then I got another set so I could do 6 or 8. Yeah, but I haven't done it in a while. But it's sort of like riding a bike. you pick them back up, you spend a few minutes, and then you understand the patterns again, and it's not that hard. The benefit of cleaning is having a nice work area. Sure. Yeah, I could do more of that. I'm normally cleaning other stuff, like I do the cats, and I do like the back room, and I do the lounge room, and this place gets neglected because I'm always like, I've spent 2 hours doing the other areas. I wanna lie down on my chair and go to sleep. Yeah. All right, let's go to our next story. I like I said, I'll bring you more about that one tomorrow. I've been trying to find more about Clinton, but I don't have anything at all, which is very sad. But I will show you something while I load this next story. And Australia and England, we have a very friendly relationship. England and Australia, we're good friends, right? So, in spirit of our great friendship and our motherland, I'm going to show you something. This is just because we love England so much, and I think it's worth showing. All right, here, let's see if I can load it up. Yeah. So there was an event out in Las Vegas today. They had rugby league from Australia playing out in Las Vegas this evening, and it was a women's football, like ladies, and it was England versus Australia, and England scored 4 points. Australia almost got to 100 and scored 90 points, including one girl, great player, had 5 tries just by herself, had 5 of her own. Australia 90, England 4. So, historic day out in Las Vegas. I'm sorry, my English friends. That was not a great day for England. All the Lionesses, the Gillaroos, come through triumphant and absolutely trounce England. I've never seen anything like this. A score of 90. It is brutal. They're going to have to pick up their game should they ever want to compete again. I've never seen a score in rugby league of 90. Normally rugby's like 24, 17, 34, 21, sort of like NFL, like same thing. Not 94. Like that's insane. But it's all in love. We love our English friends. They're our family. It's kind of like ribbing your cousin and being like, hey, look. So, great day for Australia. Bad day for England. Okay, let's take you to some true crime. No, I don't want to do that. Sorry, I had a story lined up, but it was about a child. We get so many child stories, and I'm so over it. I mean, not over children being hurt. I don't want them to be hurt, but I feel like they're like some of the worst stories you can read. All right. Let's go to Mexico. I love Mexico. What a great place. This story, I don't know why we didn't end up covering it a few days ago, but it is awesome. Yeah. Attempted murder fugitive busted as 40-year-old scheme posing as dead college mate unravels. So he stole someone's identity and went on the run. Here's a photo of him here. His name is Campbell. This is a mugshot from 2025 on the left here. And here's all the arms they found on his property. What the hell? That is a lot of guns. Here, I'll read the story to you. It says, yeah, I'll pause this. They say a fugitive wanted for the attempted murder of his estranged wife more than 40 years ago has been captured after his con of assuming a dead man's identity for decades finally unraveled, according to the Justice Department. Stephen Craig Campbell, 76, managed to evade authorities for years under a different identity and fraudulently claimed around $140,000 in retired Social Security benefits, but was arrested in New Mexico last week during an armed standoff with police. who found nearly 60 weapons at his residence. By the way, New Mexico, not the other Mexico. The alleged swindler was on the run for planting a booby-trapped toolbox rigged with explosives outside his Wyoming home of his estranged wife's boyfriend in 1982, according to the DOJ. When she opened the container, a powerful explosion tore off one of her fingers and sent shrapnel flying. The blast also ignited a fire, destroying the residence and a neighboring unit. According to the Justice Department, Campbell was arrested and charged with attempted first-degree murder, but was released on bond in 1982. Immediately after posting bail, he vanished. A warrant was issued, but he disappeared without a trace, avoiding capture for decades by slipping into the identity of someone called Walter Lee Kaufman, who died in 1975 at the age of 22. Kaufman had graduated from the University of Arkansas just 2 months before his death. They say Campbell first applied for a passport under Kaufman's name in 1982 and renewed it multiple times, always providing a photograph of himself, his current address, and his current address. Prosecutors allege he also swindled a replacement social security card in Kaufman's name in 1995 by using an Oklahoma driver's license in Kaufman's name. How was this allowed to go on for so long? How did no one pick up that the guy was dead? There must have been some database where he had died. Like, is there no national death database? There has to be. How did that not get picked up in 30, 40 years? That he was driving around on a license for a dead man. Why is it offensive to able-bodied people? Are you saying that some people who have 2 arms might want to have 50 arms? Is that like some sort of thing? Trisha did not do a show tonight. She did not. No. Yeah. Actually, hold on. Hold on a second. Muffin is being very naughty. Hold on. All right, sorry about that. He's back on his bed. He was trying to attack his sister and he was trying to rile her up. And I was like, no, don't fight with her. Leave her alone. She wants to go to bed. They're saying here, in and around 2003, Campbell relocated to a place called Weed, New Mexico. That's an interesting name for a town. Where he bought a 44-acre property in Kaufman's name while continuing to renew the fraudulent passport. They're saying here, the scheme began to unravel in 2019 when he went to renew his New Mexico driver's license under Kaufman's name using a passport with Kaufman's name. Agents from the National Passport Center's Fraud Prevention Unit soon discovered Kaufman's death and the suspected decades-long fraudulent use of his identity. On February 19, authorities descended on his property to carry out a search of his property. That sounds like a lot of properties in the one sentence. Where they said Campbell was armed with a scoped rifle, positioning himself in an elevated, partially concealed spot. After repeated orders and the deployment of flashbangs, Campbell emerged from the woodline and was detained. When recovered, the rifle was loaded with high-powered ammunition capable of piercing standard body armor and ready to fire. With the scope cap flipped open, the selector level to fire, and the round chambered. So this dude was trigger ready to shoot any authorities who came to his home. This could have been way worse, especially he had armor-piercing rounds in the firearm. They're saying authorities discovered 57 firearms, large quantities of ammunition at the property. As a fugitive, Campbell is prohibited from possessing firearms. He was then fingerprinted, which confirmed his true identity and fugitive status. how did this how was this allowed to go on for so long? And how was it only in 2019 that the passport fraud team picked it up? What about the other 50 times he renewed the passport, you know? It's a bit odd. There's here a person named Jason Moa, a spokesperson for the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office, reflected on the significance of Campbell's capture, noting how the case had remained a constant presence in the department for years. They said Campbell's wanted poster had been on the wall at our office since I started here nearly 20 years ago. I've worked hundreds of fugitive cases, helping track down and capture fugitives all across the country, but never Campbell. Every lead went cold, no matter what tools we used. Now, finally, I understand why. That's very crazy. Here's that rifle. So this is how they found it. With the scope open and ready to fire, like ready to be used. And apparently he had a round chambered. Just all he had to do was pull the trigger and he would have killed a officer. And it's very lucky that they were able to flashbang him and get him out of there. And an officer didn't have to die that day. That is great news. Gayla says, nope, if I was living like him, I would have removed my fingerprints. Get the sandpaper. Get the acid. Actually, you know, there was a guy in England. There was a guy in England that got picked up on a child exploitation charge, right? And when they went to fingerprint him, his hands made a really weird print with the ink or the scanner or whatever. And they looked at his fingers and he had all this scarring on his fingers. And they realized that he had deliberately used acid and put it on his fingers to disguise his fingerprints. And they found out later on through a DNA test that he was actually this huge PDF file that had been around for decades, been charged about 50 times in the 80s and 90s. And yeah, so people do it. Yeah, so there's that rifle. And they're saying here an undersheriff called Joe Tomich with the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office emphasized the scale of the case from its violent origins to the decades-long search and dramatic resolution. He says it's almost hard to wrap your head around this case, the cold and calculated nature of the original crime, the decades of searching, and then after all this time, a tense standoff in the mountains of New Mexico. He said, we've all taken our turns at trying to catch Campbell. I have a case file on him the size of a novel, filled with leads that went nowhere, but we never gave up, and now we finally know why he was always one step ahead. They say Campbell appeared in federal court on Wednesday in New Mexico on fraud charges related to using a stolen identity. If convicted, he faces up to 10 years in federal prison before being extradited to Wyoming to stand trial for the 1982 bombing. The Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office has placed a detainer to ensure he is returned to Wyoming once federal proceedings conclude. That is one of the most wild tales I've ever heard of a fugitive. Here's that license, by the way. So this is his fraudulent license that should never have been given to him at all. And he somehow stayed one step ahead. Somehow. It seems like maybe someone didn't do the background checks that they were supposed to do, and it slipped through the system for like 30 years. Unfortunately, it was a very bad man that they allowed to, get a license in someone else's name, get a passport. I wonder if in the future we won't rely on passports as much as a primary ID because of the ways that it can be manipulated or, can be frauded, basically. I wonder if we will move away from that and move to something else because passports are often treated like the highest level of ID that you can get. That's why on a lot of very important things, they'll be like, do you have a passport? Passport? 100 points of ID equal passport? So maybe we'll move into like DNA embedded RFID or something. Maybe AI. Read the iris, maybe. A federal license. A federal license? I don't think we have that. I don't think we have those. What the hell is a federal license? All right, here, I want to play this little video. Is this one? No, this is not the right one. Hold on. There's another video. I want to show you some footage of him. Yeah, here. Take you to KRQE out in New Mexico.
Good evening. After more than 4 decades, one of the nation's most wanted men is behind bars tonight.
News 13's Bella Olague sat down with the FBI special agent in charge who tells us how they finally caught him. She's live in the Newsplex to explain.
Walter Lee Kaufman died at the age of 22 in Arkansas, but his name lived on, just not in the way you would expect. Stephen Craig Campbell is accused of stealing Kaufman's identity by using his name and information on passports, driver's licenses, and a social security card for over 40 years until he was found right here in New Mexico.
I'm assuming at some point he probably started forgetting that he was who he was and he did what he did.
That's FBI Special Agent in Charge, Raul Bujanda, talking about 76-year-old Stephen Craig Campbell, who's accused of taking on a different name for over 40 years.
At the end of the day, so it was identity theft is really what we were looking at.
Walter Lee Kaufman, a man officials believe went to the University of Arkansas alongside Campbell, died at the age of 22 in 1975. Campbell is suspected of applying for a passport under Kaufman's name in 1984 and renewing it several times with a photo of himself and his current address. Law enforcement says he requested a replacement social security card in 1995, this time with an Oklahoma license.
If this were to happen today, likelihood of someone being able to go 40 years from today to evade law enforcement, I say that opportunity or that chance is slim to none.
The lack of technology at that time, Bujanda says, worked in Campbell's favor. In 2003, Campbell relocated to Weed, New Mexico, where he purchased property and has lived ever since.
He picked a location where he would not be found easily.
One of the burning questions in this case is, how did he get away with it for so long?
Right, and I think a lot of it is because from we learned through the investigation is he stayed in his home quite a bit.
This scheme was flagged by officials after his visit to the MVD in 2019. Through facial recognition, agents were able to tie him to his real name and an outstanding warrant for attempted first-degree murder in Wyoming.
And the reality is that you're not going to get away with a crime, especially of this nature. Even if it is 40 years later, we will find you.
Campbell has been on the U.S. Marshals wanted list since 1983. That's when he failed to show up to court. He's accused of creating a bomb and planting it at his estranged wife's boyfriend's house. The device exploded, injuring his wife and setting fire to the building. Agents and local law.
I think the original crime, the bomb that he made and then set off at his like ex-wife's place. The fact this guy was on the run for over 40 years. If he was any more like evil genius, we may have had more people killed by him. I mean, that's a very intense way to take revenge on, your ex-wife or a lover or something like that. It's very, intricated. It's not like you just walked up and like shot them or something. Like you made a bomb, it's in a toolbox, and you had to wire this together, and when it opened, it exploded. It's very very detailed. Yeah, I hope you're feeling very much better, my friend. Rachel said maybe part of the problem is once you get one piece of ID, legit ID, it's more difficult. I would say that's probably what happened. He daisy chained it from that original whatever it was, driver's license or passport that he got, and then he daisy chained it through multiple states to make it seem more legitimate. So that when he applied for other things, so they just went, oh, he's got multiple states with the same name and all that. Oh, yeah, that seems okay. And it wasn't until probably that the databases became more digital and linked together, and with advancements in some technology, that they were able to pick up the errors that, hey, this guy has been dead. Like his family didn't know him. And then they did that facial recognition on him. And when you look in that video and you see the side by side, his license photo Yeah, right here. Where is it? There's his license, right? And where's his old photo? Hold on. So you can see there, his old photo. That's him when he was arrested for that bombing. And then you see him now, and he doesn't look that much different. I mean, that's a 1999, but he hasn't changed that much, like, especially his jaw structure. So when we talk about missing people and, like Madeleine McCann, as you age, while your hair may be different, the glasses you wear may be different, there's a lot of things that don't change, including like your facial structure. So it's just something that, you know, you get a little older, you get a few more lines or whatever, but those things don't really change unless you've had some sort of severe injury, surgery, something like that. Even then, probably not that much. Um, he looks very similar, just an older version of himself. And that's why when these people come forward and say, I'm Madeleine McCann, you know, Madeleine McCann is going to look very similar to how she was when she was little. Not the same, but she'll look similar, like same jaw structure. She'll have the same chin. She'll have the same brow path, the ears. Everything will be very similar, just she'll be a little older. Um, and this shows you how close it is, right? This was 1999. He went missing in 1982. This is almost 20 years, roughly around the same time as Madeleine McCann. Different. She was a baby at the time, and she'd be a grown woman now. But you know, the point still stands that you don't change that much as you age. A lot of your features that you have stay with you. That's why it's one of the techniques that law enforcement use to track people or confirm who they are, or you know, dead bodies and things like that. So these people that are like, "I'm Madeleine McCann," no, just no. Stop being stupid. You might be some other girl who's had a terrible life, but you're not Madeleine McCann. That's, you know, that's a different story. But yeah, pretty amazing.
Show up to
Um,
court.
shush. Yeah, wanted U.S. Marshals. He's a male and white. Oh my God, that's, you know, so distinguishing. His place of birth was California. He was just over 6 foot tall, 165 pounds. That was his original wanted poster. And now we saw some footage. This is what he looked like today. Kaufman, Walter Lee Kaufman. And he still has that jaw structure too, especially around the mouth. He has those lines. Um, he tried to cover it up by growing a bit of like a goatee, sort of like a beard, and a big mustache. He tried to like, and he shaved his hair by the looks of it too, to make himself look a little different. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think he looks that much different? Yeah, let me get his new photo for you. Walter Walter Lee Kaufman. Hold on. Yeah, here. This is what he looked like at his time of his arrest. Oh, the photo is so terrible. They could have given us a nicer photo. Hold on, let me see if I can get a one. There we go. So I don't think he looks all that much different, except for the Van Dyke beard and mustache looking thing. He looks very similar. He just doesn't have the 70s, 80s, almost Jerry curl hair that was very fashionable back then. Glad he's off the street. He can enjoy living the rest of his life, not as this poor man who died at the age of 22. His family must feel very horrified that someone had been living under his assumed identity after he died at the young age of 22 years old. And now this guy's been unmasked as who he really is, and he'll spend many years in jail. I don't think he's getting out anytime soon. I think he's probably pretty screwed. Stephen Craig Campbell. Yeah, what a crazy story. Never heard anything like it before. I mean, I've heard of fugitives on the run. You know that FBI agent or what they were saying. Oh, this wouldn't happen today. Will you tell me about the guys who escaped from the prison in San Francisco? You say you catch everyone. You tell me where they are. The guys that broke out of the prison in the San Francisco Bay. You tell me where those guys are, and then I'll believe you. Because you've not been able to track them down ever. Those guys are still outstanding. They don't know where they are. Yeah, I don't fully believe you. Although I do believe in that if you tried it today, you would probably be tracked down pretty quick. But they still have some outstanding cases from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 60s, 50s. Rachel said, yep, only the beard and hair color. Hey, Greaves Underground. Yeah, Alcatraz. The guys who broke out of Alcatraz. Yeah. They still don't know what happened to them. I've heard some weird theories, like they used to send postcards to their mum or something, with no return address. Like, I don't know. I don't know. You guys tell me. Do you think the guys from Alcatraz lived? Do you think they made it to shore? Or do you think they died in the shark-infested waters of the bay? You let me know. Hey, TYO. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. It's nice to see your name in the chat again. Yeah, I don't know. I want to think that they survived and are living their lives in Guatemala or Mexico, but I've seen both sides of the argument that it's very hard. Like Mythbusters did it; they were able to do it, but they have experience building things out of nothing, right? So their IQ for that type of thing is a little higher than the average person. But they said it was very difficult, and they said if they had no support crew and no boat, no boat to help them, they would be in a world of trouble. Like they said, it was very difficult. So, hypothermia. Kathy says, I think they made it. TYO says they dead. They probably drowned and got eaten by sharks. I mean, there is a lot of sharks in the San Francisco Bay. Yeah, the Alcatraz. I watched a documentary on that a while ago. There was a photo floating about for many years on the internet where people said it was the two guys and they had made it to Mexico. But apparently they did some facial recognition on that photo and they said it's not them. It's just two random guys in Mexico. It was not. I was like, damn, part of the story is not true. Rachel said Alcatraz is a very creepy place. I don't think they made it. The water is very rough. Watch the Mythbusters episode where Jamie and Adam actually go to Alcatraz, build a boat out of the same materials, and actually they paddle it to shore. They did it. They actually completed it. It was very, very hard, but they did do it. It gives some credence to maybe. April says Alcatraz, I've been on a tour there. It was a little creepy. The outside had beautiful wildflowers and stunning views. Sean said they looked at the currents, but I can't recall if they got swept out to sea. I know when Jamie and Adam did it, they said that if you picked the wrong way to go, you would be dead. Like you'd have to know exactly where you were going to launch the boat, and then be able to get across in time. Otherwise, yeah, you could just wind up out in the ocean and dead. You did the same tour? I've never been to that part of America. I've been to Santa Clara to see the 49ers place, but I've never been to the actual city that much. Yeah, it's sort of like, I mean, it's not a boat. What would you call it? Almost like a life raft. Yeah, I'll show it to you. See, they did it. They did it in this thing. If I can get a good photo of it. It's not a great photo. It's a very tiny photo. Hold on. I want a big photo of it. Oh, apparently I'm not going to get that. Why does everyone just have like the world's smallest photos? All right, here we go. So they did it in this thing that they were able to make and glue together, and they tried to stay original to the myth, and they tried to only use material that they would have had. But I don't know. Maybe that was another escapee. Could be. I don't know. You guys would have to tell me. I think it just shows you it might be possible. I don't think it proves anything. I think maybe they had perfect conditions, a lot of research. You know, back then they didn't have the type of ocean maps and things that you could just find on the internet today. So maybe they had more like perfect chance of doing it. Rachel said, "My grandparents lived in San Francisco and I grew up not far from there. Go Niners. Niners forever. Green and gold? No. Oh my God, we're not the Packers. No, red and gold. My Niners are forever." All right. Let's move off this. Yeah, I love when we get fugitives. 57 firearms. Yeah, I think, you know, the family of that man though, they must be very angry. Maybe they never knew that someone was living under an assumed identity of their dead son. That's awful. Marlene said, when my parents started traveling, my mom said, you'd be surprised at how many father-daughter travel together. What? Okay, I don't get the joke, but you'll have to tell me how that works. Wait, when my parents started traveling together, my mom said, oh, I get it. Haha. Okay, sorry, I had to read it slower, and I was like, okay. Yes, very funny. All right. Okay. So I don't know if Trish did this with you, but I wanted to do a little bit of it. I have to say thank you to my friend Stacy. Stacy sent me some documents last night about the Long Island serial killer, and I want to go Rex Human. I want to talk about a couple of points of it. I'm not going to go through the entire document. One, because it is bright white, and I don't want to burn your retinas. There you go. See, it is bright white. I don't want to kill you. It's actually hurting my eyes. Hold on. Sorry, let me get you. That is very bright. Yeah, woof. There we go. I wish Adobe would allow you to turn it to dark mode, but I have not been able to figure out a way to make that happen. I have a dark mode thing on my browser, but it doesn't affect PDF documents. For some reason, it doesn't do anything, which is annoying because that is so bright. It was even hurting Ping's eyes. All right, let me go back. Did I close it? Maybe I closed it in my frustration. Yeah, maybe I did. Hold on, guys. What is going on? Sorry, I've got all these links up. That one. Oh no, here it is. All right. So I'm not going to show it to you because of how bloody bright it is. But what I am going to do is I'm going to read out this little bit. I find it so interesting, especially to do with Rex Hillman. There's this bit here in this document. They talk about dump sites. We already know about that based on some of his documents they found on a computer. It's this bit that really strikes me as creepy. There's a bit down here. Where is it? They talk about in what is this? This is a memorandum of law in opposition of severance. Final. And they're saying here, they talk about trophies. And I was like, apparently he may have kept things from the crimes that he killed against these women. Like, you know, real classic serial killer, very Dexter, keeping like, you know, stuff like that. It's very strange. I'm just trying to find the sentence. DNA, we're talking about DNA analysis. No, not that. This is very annoying. I had it right before. Cellular data, we may actually do a little bit on that as well. Where the F? All right, I'm going to have to use my find key. Hold on. Actually, you know what? I actually sent it to someone. I sent it to my friend. Here. So the sentence says here, the retention of mementos or souvenirs from the murder further establishes the unique modus operandi. mementos and souvenirs, other aka trophies. That is highly just why would you do that? If they found things in his home that may be considered trophies, I just don't get that. You're basically setting yourself up for being nailed for the crime. Thank you, Rachel. I'll have a look. What is this? First of all, shooting on camera. Okay, thank you. I'll do that after this. I just want to go over this a little bit because Rex Human is so weird, and it's almost like he modeled himself on all the classic serial killers. And we know he read books about serial killers, maybe trying to find some sort of something in common with other offenders. But that one sentence sends chills down my spine that he may have kept things from the crime scenes. Sort of like Ted Bundy or those type of offenders. And you have to ask, like, what did he keep? Like, what did he keep? Earrings, body parts? Was it like the girl's stockings or something? Was it like a sock, a shoe? Was it like, I don't know, her contact lenses? Like, who knows? Rachel said, I have to wonder if he ever thought he would get caught. That driver's yeah, actually, should we show that? The driver's license photo? Let me grab it. I know it's on my list somewhere. I know you liked it as well. Where is it? Oh yeah, here. So, here, let me open this up in this tab. Rory, would you get off my computer, girl? Here, so this is his driver's license photo from 2009. And they said, this is from Mary Murphy, sorry. Say real names, Ping. They're saying here, they hope to illustrate his appearance match the description of Amber Costello's John that Amber's roommate said was in his mid-40s, had big oval-styled 1970 type eyeglasses. He really does look like exactly like what Amber's roommate was describing in that, when he said about the guy who would step on their throats or use his body weight to try and crush them. And he did this to the girls and they didn't like him, but he would offer them so much money that they felt very hard to say no to it, even though they knew what type of violent predator that he was. One of the things he used to do was like use his body weight and his foot, and he would put it on their necks and almost crush their windpipe, but not enough to kill them, just enough to make them distressed and make them, fear for their lives. And this is what he did to them on their dates together. Very, very strange. No More BS says, man, I didn't get notified about your live. So disappointed. I'll have to catch up. It's good to see you. Jewelry, hair items of clothing, no clue. I know. I want to know what it is. He is a very creepy looking dude, right? Like he looks like something out of a 1979 movie. Like, why does he still dress that way in 2009? He looks like someone who should work at IBM. Yeah, so that one little bit out of the document, I don't want to do too much on it because I feel like Trish wants to do a bunch on it and I don't want to steal her thunder. But it is a very interesting clue into the insight. The more and more we get about Rex Heumann, the more that I just think he really is the atypical serial killer. And he may actually be one of the most depraved and longest running serial killers in New York modern history. He may be the East Coast version of the Golden State Killer, but just in a slightly later generation. Hey Joey, what's up, mate? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. April B says, I can't believe how long it took to catch him. It feels like the clues were there, right? That's what I wrote on social media about this. And I think I said, it all seems so obvious now that we have more answers, right? It all feels like, wow, how did we not catch this like 15 years ago? Now that we've got these little bits of information about Rex Heumann, it just all seems to fit into place. And I'm fully of the belief that he has more victims. I don't think the ones we found on Gilgo Beach and the surrounding areas are his only victims. I fully believe there are others elsewhere because his offending wouldn't go from 0 to 100 like that. I don't think so. I think there would be offending that he did when he was even younger than this. We just haven't figured it out yet. Like, I don't believe he started in the early 90s. Do you? I don't believe so. I think his offending probably started in the early 80s. So there's a whole bunch of victims that we don't know about. Gayla says, I think they are all over where he has property. Well, we know he has property in North Carolina. We know he's been to Atlantic City a lot. I don't believe he's connected to the Atlantic City sex attack on the sex workers. I don't think so. I think that while his family did go there a lot, his family were there too. I don't think he snuck out of the hotel room and abducted sex workers. I mean, maybe, but I think the FBI and that would have already put one and two together by now. I think we would know more about that already. I think that's a different offender. Maybe on the I've heard some people say the West Coast, but I don't know. I think that's a long way to go. I think you're going to be looking more on the East Coast, like, yeah, the Carolinas, Virginia, something like that. When he was much younger, yeah, I believe you're right. I think it goes back. Like, where was that escalation of offending? Normally with these type of serial killers, they don't just walk out of the house one day and be like, all right, I'm going to take a woman today. It doesn't normally work that way. They normally have an escalation in the way they offend, and they normally try things first. But I don't know. Some of his victims he made mistakes with. We know that. Some of them he made amateur mistakes. You can see it from his own notes on the murders where he says, oh, next time, don't do this. Next time, be more careful of cameras. Next time, don't hang around too long. Otherwise, people will see you. So I think he was learning as he went through his offending, but where did it start? That's what we don't know. I don't believe that woman, the earliest one, the one in the 90s, I don't believe she's his first kill. I don't believe that for a second. April B said, I think there are more victims too. There must be another location. We know he went to Manorville, so we know he crossed away from the Gilgo Beach area. We've known that for years. But if he was willing to go to Manorville, where else in that region could he have got to? There has to be other places nearby where there's been missing women, bodies found, that type of thing. He had a condo share home in Las Vegas. I don't know. Las Vegas, there is a lot of cold cases in LV. I don't know a ton about them, unfortunately, but if there's any that fit the profile, sex worker, young, small, brunette, petite, maybe, bound, tortured, strangled, any of those that hit on a multiple, that could be something to look at. Right, Retirement says, I agree. He started way early. Amazing he got away with it for so many years. I agree. Joe says, well, Ramirez crimes were similar to spree killing in some ways. Yeah, he was. And I don't know. It's interesting with Rex. His ones were not spree, like they weren't very close together. He picked his times very specifically, like when either his wife was out of town or he had a way to bring a woman to his home. And the reason he did that was to control the environment. You often hear this in serial killer or killings in general. The killer wants to control as much of the environment as possible. And when you read the notes that he left on the computer, he talks about controlling his environment. So I would be cautious to say, where else it might be, because I believe he liked to kill somewhere where he had complete control. So it would have to be somewhere, one, he felt comfortable. He either owned the property or knew he wouldn't be disturbed, because he liked to keep these women for at least a few days, a couple of days to 3 days to 4 days. He liked to keep them and torture them. So it would have to be somewhere he could have time, control, and knew no one was going to like accidentally walk in on him. So they're the requirements here that you would have to find, and then you would have to have the modus operandi about the type of victim profiling that he has too. Like I said, young, brunette, for the most part, although he does have a couple of other victims that don't quite fit the mold, but the majority of his victims were that. Yes, I agree. Blaze says, I think he used prostitutes from the beginning, but most serial killers start after something traumatic when their mum dies, or in this case, moves away. Did he have a first wife? I don't think so. Wait, no, he was living with a woman in the 90s. In 1990, he was living with a different lady, not the lady he's with now, not Asa. He had a different woman. So when that first lady was killed, well, the first one in the timeline, pretty sure he was with a different woman at that time, not Asa Ellerup. It was I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but he had a different woman at the time. Maybe their breakup caused him to lash out, and he wouldn't be the first serial killer who's done that, where relationship problems or breaking up with the women they actually love has caused him to go and offend against other women. So possibly. All right, let me see if I can get someone who can actually, like a news article, so I don't have to blind you with white light. Da, 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 da. Yeah. I'm going to take you to CBS New York. So this is from CBS New York. You can catch them on cbs.com.
Begin with the latest developments in the Gilgo Beach murder case. Suspect Rex Heuermann back in court for another pretrial hearing. Carolyn Gushoff is live in Riverhead for us this evening. Carolyn.
Chris, good afternoon. Rex Heuermann wore that same blank, unreadable expression on his face that he has had since the very beginning of this case, while the judge allowed another 2 weeks for the defense to receive more DNA evidence. And this judge appears to be losing patience, wanting to move this case along after a year and a half. One of the lagging issues in the case is whether there will be one trial or 5 in the murders of 7 women. The defense contends there should be separate trials because it influences the jury when so many allegations are lumped together. They now have 2 weeks to respond to the prosecution, which says it's a serial killer case. They all belong in one trial. Then the second major issue still lagging is DNA. Hair fibers found on the victims were matched to Heuermann through science called nuclear DNA, which has never before been used in a court of law in New York State.
This is novel information. They call it science. We're disputing that. I mean, it's prevented people from dying from disease. It's detected diseases. It's used in amniocentesis. It's identified war dead. It's identified remains of 9/11 people. This science has been around for many, many years. And if the defense wants to call it magic, that's fine. The defense could call it whatever it likes. But we will determine that at the hearing, and we look forward to that hearing. And I can tell you, this is sound science.
The judge ordered everyone back in this courtroom on March 12th to set a Fry hearing date. That is a hearing to determine the admissibility of that DNA evidence. Heuermann, meanwhile, has always contended he is innocent, and his attorney said today that he looks forward to his day in court. And notably, he will not be seeking a change of venue, which had been.
How can you magic away the fact that not only, your DNA, your wife's hair was found in the burlap sack? How are you going to come up with that? Oh, I donated burlap sack over the 15 years every month. I gave it to the Homeless Plant Association. I gave it, someone must have pinched it from there, and that's how my wife's hair. My wife likes to sleep in burlap, often puts it over her head, keeps her hair nice and fresh, and then I donated it to the Homeless Plant Association, and someone must have pinched it from there. Like, yeah, I lost them, right. I don't think that's gonna fly. I think that's, you know, how do you do that for 4 victims? It doesn't make any sense. Joe says, "Are you aware of Chinese OC in Oz?" Yes, there is been a bunch of that kind of stuff going on, including warships that are currently circumnavigating Australia. So that is very strange. April B says, so March 12th. March 12th is a Fry hearing, so we'll see. I just wish we'd get to freaking trial. We've been in this perpetual state of just motions and hearings and fighting on this and that. Let's just get to trial and hear the evidence. Like let's just get that done. You think you're innocent, then let the evidence speak for itself. Let it speak for show it to the jury. You'll be judged by a jury of your peers. If they believe it, if they think the evidence is strong enough, then you'll be convicted. And if not, you'll be let go. Oh, OC, the organized, yeah, they've been around here for years. The triads, Big Five, all them, they've been around here for decades. I grew up in Sydney in a lot of the areas where they operated, so they've been around since I was a kid. They were in schools. They used to recruit out of high school. Very very active in Sydney. Yeah, March 12th. Let's see. No, I don't think we ever did the Jack the Ripper stuff. There's been so many false starts and you know red herrings and things over the years. I saw the recent one where they reckon a scarf was able to be DNA tested or something. We'll see. Blaze says he should ask for a change of venue. People in that area do not take kindly to Rex. Where would they take him? To Alaska? What about Idaho? Like where would you want them to go? He is one of the most famous cases in the world. If you took him to France, people would know about it. It'd be very very hard. It'd be very difficult to find a jury that wouldn't haven't of at least heard of Rex Heuermann or the Long Island serial killer case. It's been a decades-long investigation. I mean, your potential jury pool is polluted. No matter where you go, you'd literally have to get penguins from Alaska to help you. Yeah, Jack the Ripper. I feel like the one that I'm more interested in is the Black Dahlia in LA. Black Dahlia is way more interesting than Jack the Ripper because that is just so brutal of a crime to do to someone, to cut them the way that she was cut. It takes a bit of skill, and that mystery would be much more interesting to me, at least. The photos of that poor woman is just splayed and then left for everyone to view. Especially back then, it was much more of a well, even today it would be very disrespectful, but back then it was like unheard of. It was shocking. Like we've seen other women that have been posed and things like that in death. Hoddle could be. And there was that guy that, remember, he said, he's like, oh, it's my father, and then he thought his father was also the Zodiac killer, and then everyone went, oh, I don't know, man, your dad's two different unheard killers. I don't know about that. Jonas says, I don't know much about the Long Island serial killer case. Okay. I could tell you a bit more. Hold on. Orange County. I love Orange County. I hate mornings. Yeah, check out Joseph Scott Morgan. He would probably know more about why this development is so much more interesting, especially with him being a death investigator. He would be able to provide more context. I think me talking about it would be very boring. I don't know more than what the media article does. It's it'd be interesting to put it to bed once and for all. And it's no longer a mystery, but yeah, Joseph will know. Okay, let's see if we can go back. Let's see if we can go back very briefly. So, if you don't know much about the Long Island serial killer case, it started off. It started off with one girl. That's how all of this was uncovered. It started off with one girl, Shannon. So Shannon was really the catalyst to finding all of these other victims. This young sex worker called Shannon Gilbert had gone missing after meeting a client at his house. Where we've heard the 911 calls. I can play it in a second. We don't know. She had some sort of issue at this guy's home, and you hear her on the 911 call, and she's like, "You're in it together. You're trying to kill me." Even to her driver. So she had a driver that would take her to different appointments with clients, and she's even accusing him of being in on it to have her murdered and hurt or something. Some people reckon that she had a psychotic break. That they did pick up some drugs, but I don't know if she actually did any. I think her toxicology showed no drugs. But she was out in the wilderness for a long, long time. I don't know if that's very good testing, but um, she sounds very distraught on the 911 call, very distraught, and she eventually runs out of there after being tried to be coaxed by her driver and the John to leave the home because he's like, she's gone crazy. We've had a long night. That's enough. I don't want to do this anymore. Get her out of my apartment or house. And she all of a sudden bursts out of there and runs down the street, yelling, screaming for help. And she knocks on a bunch of doors. People try to provide her help, tell her to come in. Hey, I'll call the cops or whatever. She declines and then she keeps running. And her driver chases after her, trying to be like, "Hey, Shannon, come on. Hey, hop in the car. I'll take you back to New York. Like, we'll go home." He says that he checked for her for a while, couldn't find her, and then he himself got worried because the neighbors had called police. So, and he's a driver for a sex worker. He would probably be arrested, and that's what he was worried about. So he left, thinking that Shannon may find her own way home, call a cab, like something. And she was never heard from again until a few years later, a guy doing sniffer dog training with his cadaver dog training with his dog stumbled across bodies out there, and the original ones he found were not Shannon. They thought it would be. They were looking for Shannon, but he stumbled across what we now know as the Gilgo 4, and then it escalated from there. Really, really bizarre set of circumstances, and now we have Rex Heuermann behind bars. Could be a high that went bad too. Yeah, let's play the little bit of the call. I won't play it all because it's like 15 minutes, but let's play just a touch of it. By the way, the other week because I do a lot of research on the Gilgo Beach, Rex Heuermann, Lisk investigation. A few years ago, there was a second autopsy done of Shannon Gilbert, and there was video of that entire autopsy process. It used to be on a website, and I went looking for it the other week, and it's gone. I can't find it anywhere. I've been searching for it for like a few months now. If anyone has that footage of the second autopsy that was done for Shannon Gilbert, let me know. Email me, sundaywithping@gmail.com. I know I watched it. I know I'm not going mental, and I cannot find even screenshots of it anywhere. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that there was a second autopsy done. There was 2 doctors there, and for some reason they had posted it on a news website at one point, and I cannot track it down anywhere. I've been trying to find it. That would help if I could remember the website that it was hosted on. but I can't remember which news agency it was on at the time. Hey, Yuda, how are you? It would be pulled down due to court case. You reckon that's what it was? Well, if anyone has an archived copy of it, please email me, sundaywithping@gmail.com. There's something I just want to check on it that I remember seeing the first time. Yeah. So it was like I remember it was like a full autopsy. They went through. They were like, "Hey, this is like this, and the bones, and this is where she had the thing in her jaw." And maybe Ping's going mental. Maybe I've read so much true crime, I'm actually incorrect. That could be true. All right, let me go to Shannon Gilbert's 911 call. Also, the second 911 call, the one where they show the mapping for it, is gone missing too. I was trying to find that. They were both unlisted on the Suffolk County PD YouTube. Now there's only one. There used to be two. And now one had a map and a sort of visual fly through. And then there was one that was just the 911 call. Now all I can find is just the 911 call. I can't find that like visual walkthrough. Maybe Ping's just got really bad at. Not that one. Hold on. The link for the Suffolk County PD one is private. I just have to find it. Okay, I can't find it. Unfortunately, the Suffolk County PD put it under a private link for the media. And it is known. I just don't have it on me. Hold on. Okay. Let's go here. Let's go to the old. It might be this one, actually. Okay.
I'm Detective Lieutenant Kevin Byra, the commanding officer of the Suffolk County Police Homicide Section. This video was made to explain the circumstances surrounding the 3 911 calls made on the day Shannon Gilbert went missing. The full, unedited 911 calls are available, and I encourage people to listen to them in their entirety. Portions of the call taken out of context will sound sensational. During the early morning hours of May 1st, 2010, Shannon Gilbert, a Craigslist sex worker and resident of Jersey City, New Jersey, traveled from Manhattan to meet a client, Joseph Brewer, at his home at 8 The Fairway, Oak Beach, New York. Shannon was driven to Oak Beach from Manhattan by her driver, Michael Pack. Neither one was familiar with the area, neither one had been there before, and neither one had met Brewer before. Pack waited in the car while Shannon was inside with Brewer. Pack was her de facto security. At 4:51 a.m., while at Brewer's house, Shannon called 911. This call lasts for more than 21 minutes. At times, Shannon is speaking calmly, but slurring her words. At times, she is not responsive, and at times, she is screaming. During this call, Brewer and Pack are heard trying to get Shannon to leave the house. Shannon eventually does leave the house and runs to Gus Coletti's house, located at 17 The Fairway, which causes him to call 911 at 5:22 a.m.
State Police, Trooper Fry. State Police.
Yeah, there's somebody after me.
I'm sorry?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Okay, where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you, ma'am?
I don't know.
You're driving right now?
No, I'm inside the house.
I'm sorry?
I'm inside the house.
What house?
I don't know. Can you trace where I am?
I'm sorry?
Can you trace where I am?
No, I can't. What's your callback number you're calling from?
Huh?
What phone number are you calling from?
By the way, you hear the operator here. This operator needs retraining. I've always thought it. I can't stand it. She's a massive see you next Tuesday. Like when Shannon said, I don't know where I am. Can you trace my phone? Like that real passive aggressive. No, I can't. Like you're an effing 911 operator. You're there to help people. Your job is for service to the community. Do that. Don't be an absolute effing beep. That may have made her calmer or something, but the fact that you just fobbed her off is, I'm not saying you caused her death, but it didn't help. And then she cut the line and cold pushed her onto a different operator. Later on, you'll hear it.
Somebody's after me. Please.
Are you in Suffolk County or Nassau County?
I'm in Long Island.
Where on Long Island are you?
No. 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 No, stop, no.
Where in Long Island are you? In Suffolk County? Nassau County?
Huh? Why? Why you calling me by my name? Why?
County, you on the line?
Stop. Please. Stop it, please. Please stop. Please, can you shut the door?
No, time to go.
Please. Please. Please.
Go that way, please. Come on, let's go. Come on, roll that side. Come on, go outside. Come on, all of us. Come on, over outside. Come on.
No, please.
Come on. Please, come on.
Please.
Come on.
Why?
Just come on here. Go on. I'll go upstairs. You leave. I'm going to upstairs. I'm going to go upstairs. You leave. I'm going to go upstairs. Okay? You leave, please. Please, take care. My hold. All right. What's the matter? Are you okay?
What are you going to do? What are you going to do to me? Why?
Huh? Well, I don't know, but it was transferred to me.
Why?
No.
Are you going to kill me?
It's running through, I think it's Suffolk County on the left for the person. The county Manhattan.
Why are you going to
Call Suffolk County.
You freaking me out. Come on.
I'm in the middle of nowhere?
Let's go back to Manhattan. All right? We're in Long Island. We're up near the water.
Please, stop.
Me, Mike. Brother, come on.
No, stop it, please. Hello? Please. Hello? Please.
So if I remember correctly, this bit that you just saw where they said a second NYS operator jumped on the line, as far as I can remember, that's not true. The other lady just got sick of it and cut the call and pushed her into a different queue. Just shitty operators. If that lady still works there, I hope they've made you undergo training 50 times a year to fix your crap. I know 911 operators. A few of my friends work for Triple O in Australia, and they are some of the most kind, compassionate people I've ever met. And they treat everyone with respect. And this lady did not treat Shannon with respect. Not saying it contributed to her death, just saying she didn't treat her like like someone who needed help. She was just sort of like, oh, let's listen to this lady freak out on the phone and do F all. It's very frustrating to listen to. But you hear Michael Pack there, and he has there's a court document that you can read, and he actually, it's many years later. It's a disposition. You can read it from Michael Pack, and they ask him a lot of questions about this night. He's very weird in the disposition. He doesn't really say anything. He's just like, oh, I can't remember. Oh, I don't know. Not again. I'm not implicating anyone. Just he says, oh, it's so long ago. I can't remember what happened. Oh yeah, it was like 10 years ago. I don't have any memories of that. It's very strange for someone who this was a very traumatic part of probably a very traumatic part of their life that's affected their life for years after, and can't seem to remember anything. Woodland Creature said all those crappy men around her failed to try and protect her. I really believe Michael Pack tried to get her home. I don't think he wanted to hurt her. I think he was trying to do his job, and his job was to make sure she got out of the client's house and took her home. Like, that's what he's a driver. Could he have done more? Yeah, probably. I agree with that. But you can hear him. He's being very kind to her. He's like, "Hey, well, like, what's going on? Like, why are you acting like this? Like, like what's going through? Why are you acting strange? Like, it's me. Like, we're friends. Like, what's going on?" Like, they spent hundreds of hours together. Not hundreds. Like, that's a misspeak. They spent many hours together in the car driving to different places. He hadn't done it that long. But he had been with Shannon a few times, enough to know what she was like, and it would have been a very foreign experience to see her like huddled behind a couch saying all this weird stuff like, "You're trying to kill me," and you're in on it too. Like, why are you calling me by my name? It's I get why some people think it's a mental break. I also get why some people think it's something else. It's very you can see both sides of it. Woman of Steel said the operator could have been listening, but she was obsessed with what county it was. I know. She needed to go to a hospital. Very hard to convince someone who's doing something that's illegal to try and get them to authorities. The fact that she even called 911 in the first place is amazing, because she could probably get arrested, right? I'm pretty sure. Prostitution's illegal in New York. Prostitutes have been arrested for it. She may have even been on a program. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, hold on. I'm pretty sure they went out to get drugs at one point, but I have some weird thing in the back of my head that says her toxicology said that there was no drugs in her system. But again, her body had been out there a long time. Hold on. Shannon Gilbert. Yeah, so it says the autopsy results obtained by Eyewitness News revealed that Shannon Gilbert, who had been missing for 18 months before her body was found at Gilgo Beach on Long Island, did not have drugs in her system. I remember there was something about Joseph Brewer that said that they went and picked up. Yeah, I think that was from Michael Pack. He was saying that, like, it wouldn't be unusual if they went to find drugs or something. I know he asked her for lube, something else, cards, and something else. She wanted Michael to go get it. So she wanted, like, things to keep the night going. Woman of Steel says, yes, you are very sweet. Yeah, Carolina is very sweet. Woman of Steel said, yeah, they could have been operating. Rachel says her account was very strange and no facts. His account was very strange and no facts. Yeah, that disposition, if you've never read it, is very odd. I've read it a few times. It was very bizarre. That's what happens when someone has a psychotic mental breakdown. It depends what side of the story that you pick. Is she having a mental breakdown, or is she being actually hurt by someone? So I think that's what some people don't know. Do you believe the official account, which is by Suffolk County PD and the rest of the investigators, that this was actually a death by misadventure / mental break? Or is there something more sinister here, that her attorney keeps saying to everyone that this is not a straightforward mental break? So I'm not sure. I've never been quite 100%. Woodland Creature says, you're right. The whole system failed. She needed help. Maybe everyone was too scared of getting in trouble. Michael Pack actually said that's why he drove away. After she runs down the road, he said he left the gated community, because this was a gated community where these homes were. He left because he knew the neighbors had called police, and he didn't want to get arrested for some sort of prostitution or something like that, because they're obviously going to go speak to the John, and they're going to be like, well, why do you have a young girl here at 2 a.m. in the morning, and why is this dude just sitting outside in a car? Like, they're going to put two and two together pretty quick. Joe says she'd be okay. Prostitution is tough to prove in this context. Patty L says, I think she was scared to death that she was feeling something was up. Carolina says, trusted, I have another theory. The client may have slipped her some sort of narcotic, which caused her to have a mental break. I don't know. I don't know if he would have done that. Maybe. Woman of Steel said, no, she was terrified. How could he leave her? No, she ran off, and he searched for her, but didn't know where she'd gone. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying what he told everyone. He said that when she ran down the road, he chased after her in the car, couldn't find her, and was yelling out for her, like, Shannon, hurry up, come back. We got to go. We got to get out of here. He spent some time doing that, and then it wasn't very long, I admit. I think it was like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then he left the area. Yeah. Jonas says maybe traumatized and being hurt first, then the breakdown. Could be. I mean, you hear some of these stories. If you've ever read Lost Girls, the book that was written about this case, you hear some of the things that these girls went through in their time in prostitution, and it's brutal. And then you hear about what Rex Heuermann did to some of the clients, and you think, well, Rex Heuermann's probably not the only person out there that treats these girls like crap. So, Yeah, he briefly tried to find her and then tried to get her in the vehicle to go. He wanted to go back to New York because they were way out, like an hour or so out. So how Rex Heuermann comes into this. So after this phone call, Shannon isn't heard from again. They can't find her. No one's heard from her. I think Michael even said he called around to her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, and a few other people to try and, like, have you seen her? I think they reached out to people too, like, where is she? No one had heard from her, so she was reported missing eventually. I think it was like 10 days after or something. How this relates is that, so they knew there was a missing girl out in this area. A guy, like I said, trying to train and search for Shannon, but also training his dog, had been working out in this area, and he came across a body, and everyone went ballistic thinking, oh my God, it's Shannon. They've found her. It's definitely her. I remember the media at the time. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's Shannon. They finally found her. This puts the end to this mystery. Someone killed her. She was found in the beach or whatever. But it ended up being not her. It ended up being a different victim. And then they found more bodies. And then they kept searching. And then they went, oh, well, if we found two, maybe we should search this entire area. And then they kept searching and they ended up finding, 11 people. So, including one baby. So they end up finding all these victims. And then Shannon was found, I think, like 9 months later, like much later on. And they eventually located her in that weeded ditch area. Let me see if it's on here. You'll get a view of it if we go further down. No, that's the home here. So this is where they located her body. This video in the little corner here is what it looks like at the time of night that they believe Shannon entered that area. This little bit down here. This is what the view that she would have had if she had entered this area when she did. So it looks like sticks and reed and, and this is what it looks like during the day. Down the middle here is this corridor. This is the corridor they believe she originally ran down. It's actually used for mosquito protection. So they put chemicals and stuff to make sure the mosquitoes don't breed in there. But this view is what they believe she would have seen. So personal items were recovered here. And Shannon Gilbert, she was so close to the road. She was located up here in this top right corner. If she went like another 200 feet, she would have reached a highway. She would have found safety. So, yeah, I can play this bit if you want. That talks about the weeds.
Okay.
Outlet by Robert Moses.
All right. We got somebody over there.
I'll be watching.
Oh, okay.
Suffolk Police 875. What is the location of your emergency?
43 The Bayou. Some woman is knocking at my door.
What town are you in?
Oak Beach Association.
What's the nearest corner street now?
Ocean Parkway. She says she's in danger.
Do you know her or no?
No, I don't. I'm not letting her in.
She's banging on your door now?
Yes.
Did she say what kind of danger?
No.
Oh.
And we live in a gated community.
What's your name, ma'am?
Barbara Brennan,
What's there a name to that community?
Oak Beach Association.
Oak Beach Association.
And I have an elderly mother here.
All right, I'll get somebody right over there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is drone footage and footage shot from the ground showing the marshland. It was taken at the same time of year and time of day as when Shannon went missing. These reeds can grow over 12 feet tall. They can disorient someone inside them, causing them to lose a sense of direction. One cannot tell where the highway is or where the bay is. The reeds and brush can become impenetrable in places. There's a trench running east and west through the marshland. This was created to allow mosquito control. It is believed that Shannon followed this trench. Personal belongings of hers were found just north of the trench. Shannon's remains were found north of the trench, about 158 feet south of Ocean Parkway, approximately 3/4 of a mile from where she was last seen. There has been information received during the course of this investigation that other people might be involved in this incident. They have all been investigated, and there is no reason to believe at this time that anyone else is involved in this tragic series of events. The police responded to Coletti and Brennan's 911 calls. Pack, Brewer, and Shannon were all gone. Gus Coletti provided a description of Pack's car, which was also gone. This created the possibility that Shannon had been driven out of the area, which caused a delay in the initial search for her. The police department has thoroughly investigated this case for more than a decade. The official cause of Shannon's death is undetermined. This official classification means there is insufficient or no evidence to determine or even to exclude an actual cause of death. The Gilbert family has hired a private pathologist to conduct an autopsy. His determination is there is insufficient information to determine a definite cause of death, but the autopsy findings are consistent with homicidal strangulation. That pathologist's report will be made available. This case, including the 911 call, and all of the other cases commonly referred to as Gilgo, in their entirety, were made available to the Behavioral Analysis Unit, or BAU, of the FBI. As part of BAU's review of the case, they retained the services of a psychiatrist to review Shannon's words and actions on the 911 tape, and also to review the facts of the case. BAU's opinion, based on their review of Shannon's case, the scene, the 911 calls, and a psychiatrist review, is that Shannon Gilbert's death is not consistent with Shannon being the victim of violence or of a violent offender. Significant differences between Shannon's death and the circumstances surrounding the other victims' deaths were also highlighted by BAU. The Suffolk County Police Department is open to evaluate any evidence to be able to help us and all involved determine a definite cause of death. However, based on the evidence, the facts, and the totality of the circumstances, the prevailing opinion is that Shannon's death, while tragic, was not a murder and is most likely an accident.
So there's the sort of like official explanation of what they think happens. Like they said, BAU at Quantico went through it. They even had a psychologist or psychiatrist evaluate her language, the emotions and things like that she's displaying. And they don't believe she was a victim of a violent crime. But there's a lot of people, including her lawyer, her family's lawyer, that believe that maybe that might be true for the first part, but what happened when she left that property may have been a violent crime because no one has that recording and no one has her talking once she leaves that estate. So, yeah, so someone asked, how does this relate to Rex Heumann? So it relates to Rex Heumann because while searching for Shannon, they found those other bodies that Rex Heumann has now been charged with murdering those girls. For a long period of time, a lot of people thought those girls and Shannon were part of the same group, the Gilgo murders, basically, what we call Long Island serial killer. But yeah, it's disputed. Disputed is the word I'm going to use. Very sad either way, and it breaks my heart every time I watch that video when we see that map, and she's so close to the road.
Direction.
up here. She was about 200 feet from that highway. If she had just been able to somehow to make it a little bit further, she may have been found. She may have been located and survived. Who knows? But you saw that footage, that drone footage, and that footage going through the reeds at night. It's like they said, it's impenetrable in places. It's very hard to see any direction because of how high they are. So you can't see over the top of them, especially if you're a shorter woman. And she may have died from like being disorientated and then eventually succumb to the elements, possibly. But yeah, so there you go. If you've not followed this case, it'll be a big one this year, and we are waiting to go to trial for Rex Heuermann for the other people's death, not for Shannon's. But this is how it was all uncovered because of this one event. Woodland Creature said, so in a strange way, her story may have accidentally exposed Rex Heuermann. Yes, 100%. He may have continued offending had Shannon not gone missing that night. Very possibly, if they weren't looking for Shannon, they may have never uncovered all those bodies that they found. That they may have lasted more years or another decade, or who knows, because they hadn't found them up until that point, and it was only because they were looking for Shannon that they discovered the rest of them. So, yes. So even in death, if you think about it, Shannon did something really good. I know it sounds awful, but in a way, she provided help and light to these other victims in a very weird, twisted way, but she did. She was able to make sure those girls got justice and made sure they got home to their families eventually. And in some weird twist of sliding door moment, yeah, it's because of her in a way. Blaze says, as I recall, Shannon suffered from mental health issues, bipolar, and panic attacks and drug use. I think she panicked and ran into the reeds. Her shoes may have exhausted her getting stuck in the mud. Very well could have been. Woodland Creatures says, my God, that is wild. So yeah, that's why a lot of us are so eager to get onto this trial this year. We want to know the evidence that they have against Rex Heuermann. We've heard little bits and pieces here and there, but for people who have been following this case for over a decade, we want to get a conclusion here and see the evidence. So, yeah, a fractured hyroid bone in her throat. They don't know how that became fractured. They don't know if it was after death or what they call like perimortem or before death. Mental health issues. Yeah. Yes, that is true. Her mother her mother was murdered by her sister. So her mother ended up being killed by Shannon's sister. That happened a few years after this. Very, very sad ending for that family. I Hear Morning says, we have no idea how many women her death ended up preventing. Could have been a lot. Could have been a lot. Woodland Creature says, I think Rex Heuermann is effed. I think they have a lot of evidence against him. Yeah, it feels like to me that they're only drip feeding what they have to before trial. They don't want to prejudice the trial, so they're only giving out what they very minimally have to. But I believe they have more, a lot more. Carolina says, it's a fascinating documentary on this own case. I watched the body cam of her sister's case. I've watched it once. I don't really ever want to watch it again. I'm good. Very sad for her mum. Very sad. Her mum, you can say a lot of things about her mum, and a lot of them may be negative, but I do believe that she fought very hard to find Shannon, even though she rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. She tried very hard. What documentary is that? I've seen every documentary ever made on this particular case. Which one is it? And I'll tell you if I think it's good. Because there's a few good ones. There's a couple that are total crap. And there's a few that are way outdated where they're not even worth watching anymore because they're just so old. They're interesting if you just want to follow the case and know what it was like back then. But watching them today just doesn't give any context because we know so much more now. So let me know which one it is. The one I would suggest you watch is The Killing Season, but only like the first 3 or 4 episodes, and I would ignore a lot of the bullshit that they talk about surrounding it. There's some good stuff, but there's some fairy tale ideas that get pushed out. Just listen to the facts of it. Absolutely agree. They found all the phones Rex Human used relating to this case. They did, and they've been able to tie them to the victims and locations and cell towers. It's very, very, it's very intriguing evidence. But yeah, let me know what doco that is, because if there's one thing I know, it's documentaries. I've watched thousands, and that's what I don't watch a lot of TV, like a lot of drama stuff. I mostly watch true life facts driven type of content. But I think I've seen just about every single documentary made for this particular case. There's a few. There's one that's earlier on. It has Michael Pack in it. It's done by, I want to say Oxygen, but I don't think it is. I'll have to look it up. There was one done in 2011, and it has Michael in it, and he talks in it. But it's so outdated now. It's got some weird ideas and stuff in it. There's one by Dateline, I think. They've done a couple of different ones on it. Those are pretty good. There's one by Channel 5. No, sorry, News 12. There's one by News 12. They've done a pretty good roundup of this particular case. I like their coverage. I think they've done some great coverage on the Gilgo Beach and all that. So if you want to watch a good documentary, News 12 is a good one. But yeah, some of the older ones now are just sort of so old they're not worth watching anymore, because the ideas and information in it don't make any sense compared to what we know today, like with Rex Heuermann. And you'll listen to a lot of it and it'll be like, oh, maybe it was like a police officer and he knows the law, and it just doesn't make any sense. All right. Yeah, the 2011 one. Yes, it is a good one. It is good to watch if you just want to see the background on it. But it's got some very far out ideas. Outdated. Yeah, it's very outdated, a lot of them. I would stick they're fun to watch if you know the case, but if you want to know the case, then I would stick to some of the newer stuff and then go back to 2011. So do the newer ones like Dateline, NBC, News 12, 2020, and then go back to those old ones like The Killing Season, the one in 2011. I can't remember who that was with. Spike or hold on. Oh, A&E. Sorry, A&E. Is it that one? I think it is. Yes, it is. It's this one. It's very old. It's sort of hard to find. I think it is on YouTube. A&E presents the Long Island serial killer. Sorry, it's A&E. This one's okay. Has a family, Michael Pack, a few other people in it. Interesting to watch if you've watched the other ones first. All right, actually, there's a mystery. If you want to talk about big mysteries, big serial killers, there's one that's even more interesting. Well, not more. Actually, that's not the right thing. It's not more interesting than this one, but it's just as interesting. And it's the one that's in New Mexico. If you've never followed it, it's really good. It is. Hold on. It's the West Mesa killings. This one is so interesting. If you've never looked into this, this is one of my other personal favorites. That it's like a pet case. I've been researching this one for a long time too. So again, these were sex workers. They were all found in West Mesa, and they were all buried under this giant desert area. And they reckon they have satellite footage of the landscape changing as the perpetrator buried bodies out there. they can actually see the graves pop up over time, but the quality is so bad that they can't quite get anything more than that. But you can actually see the graves pop up year to year, month to month, and you can see the new grave sites out there. Never figured out who it is. One of the guys who they believe could have been a potential like a person of interest died not too long after the bodies were discovered. Died in a very violent death after. Anyway, I don't want to spoil the surprise for you. You should read about it yourself. But very interesting case how all these sex workers ended up out there. So, a good one. Have you seen Quickly Down Under? Quickly Down. I don't know what that is. I can't say I've ever seen that. I don't know what that is. It's a Western film. Okay. Starring Tom Selleck. I mean, the man with the greatest mustache ever in Hollywood. Tom Selleck. Set in Australia, it opened to generally poor reviews. It has since developed an enduring niche following among certain audiences. I can't say I've ever seen it. I'm not a Western person. I don't think I've ever watched like Western films very much. I'm not a cowboys and gunslingers. Jojo says, I live in Mesa, Arizona. My dad, who is back east, was having a heart attack thinking this was the town I had moved to. I know this case well. Yeah, it's a really great case if you've never heard of it. Believe it or not, I don't know. Thank you. Tom Selleck, Alan Rickman. It's in. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. Joe. Carolina says, yes, I watched that one also. It's very good. I was laser focused on that one, trying to figure out who the serial killer was. Nail biting for me personally. I think they've got two very good suspects, but I don't know if they'll ever prove it because one is dead and one is from out of state. Don't know. Maybe one day. But I don't know. Don't know if I can show you the satellite images. They're hard to find now. They used to be everywhere, and now they're a little more difficult to find. So there's these satellite images that show you where the bodies are, where the burial sites are. See, if you go here, they're hard to see on these versions. So apparently you can see the different burial locations for at least a couple of them, and they believe I can't remember what these lines are for, but at least here and here that there's two burial sites, and they could see it on the maps as the time changed throughout the region when the satellites took the images day to day. Not sure if they ever saw a vehicle or a person, but outer space. The satellite is actually how it was discovered. Is it? Joe Neal said the theme is the murder of Indigenous Australians for rangeland. That kind of stuff did happen back in the like what they call pastoral times, and that kind of stuff did happen down in Australia. Hey, Aussie True Crime, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. I don't know if I'm the beautiful one, but I appreciate it. Joe Neal says the theme. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I will check it out. Hey, thanks for dropping by. I need to drop by your channel at some point and jump in your chat. That would be fun. And then I can pretend to ask questions that I don't know the answers to. That's what people do to me, I'm sure. They're like, let's just see if Ping knows what he's talking about. Let's just ask him random questions. Yeah, so that's a good one. Maybe we'll do that one time. Do we have something to end the show? All right, fine. We can do this one. Let's go to Florida because all good things happen in Florida. Let's go here to yeah, let's go to WKMG in Florida. All right, here we go. So this woman here, her name is Tiffany Perkins. She's 28, faces charges of aggravated assault and animal cruelty. Yeah, so she's a scumbag. And it says here a Polk County woman was arrested this week after stealing electricity and sicking her dogs on utility workers, according to the sheriff's office. In a release, deputies said they responded to a home on Sugar Pine Loop around 10:49 a.m. on Tuesday at the request of a couple of Duke Energy employees. Those employees had visited a property due to the resident, later identified as Tiffany Perkins, potentially stealing electricity, but she instead released her dogs on the workers. A deputy arrived at the home and began speaking with Perkins, leading her to call 911. Why do people do that? They're like, oh, the police want me and I'm in trouble, so let me call 911 to report the police officer. People have some weird thinking. The release shows, according to investigators, the deputies tried to arrest her, but he was attacked by a Great Dane, which injured his arm and eye. Eventually, more deputies responded to the house and were able to take Perkins into custody. The investigation determined that Tiffany was indeed stealing electricity from Duke Energy after they had cut the power from her home. They say PCSO Animal Control responded and recovered a second Great Dane that was in extremely poor health. Both Great Danes were removed from the property. They say now Perkins faces charges of aggravated battery on law enforcement, aggravated assault on law enforcement, 2 counts of aggravated assault, resisting with violence, resisting without violence, theft of utilities, petty theft, trespassing, animal cruelty, open septic tank, nuisance, injuries to health, burning prohibited materials, waste tire disposal, misuse of 911, and unpermitted landfill. She is being held in the county jail without bond. So she caused herself a whole world of pain, including sending these dogs to attack not only the cops but also the utility workers. What is wrong with her? I appreciate it. I will drop by sometime. What time do you normally schedule your shows? Do you go the same time every day? Let me know so I can jump in and hang out with you guys. Carolina says, have you heard of the yes, we've done a lot on the Ladybird Lake in Austin, Texas. Yes, we've done a lot. DJ, our regular to our chat, is fascinated by the lake. Yeah, she is a bit of a crazy lady. Blaze says, good, she's in Sheriff Grady's, Grady Judd in her neighborhood. I'm surprised he doesn't do a press conference on her next week. And he's like, oh, hey, look at this crazy woman. She sicked 2 dogs on us. I'd love to see that press conference. Actually, let's check. Did he do one? Hold on. Polk County. Yeah, let's see if he put one up or not. 2 days ago. 4 days ago. No, it doesn't look like he did. No. Doesn't look like he has put one up. His last one was about a guy called Alvaro Jimenez. And that was on February 27th. I think, yeah, nothing about a girl with a dog. Nothing about a girl with a dog, unfortunately. Swiping swans. Hold on, what is this? Okay. Hold on, do you guys want to see something weird? He has this video on here about crime, grand theft. During the evening of Wednesday, February 12th, 2 black swans and 4 of their eggs were stolen from Highland Village Mobile Home Park of Lakeland. The theft occurred between 9:04 p.m. and 9:43 p.m. The 2 suspects were visible on security camera during that time. So they stole 2 black swans and some of their baby eggs. Why would you do that? Why would you need to steal a swan? What were they going to do with it? Here, let's watch the surveillance video of them doing that. Here we go. So they head in. I don't know why you would do that. Why would you take a swan? Yeah, Great Danes are nice dogs. Yeah, she just ruined her life. I mean, look at all those charges. Like, you saw how long it took me to read them out. It was like a paragraph of just solid charges. Oh my god, he has a net. Like he's some sort of weird person on Scooby Doo. Thanks, Charisma. I appreciate it, my sweet friend. Jojo says Tiffany thought my dog is huge, so I win this one. Did she think they would just leave? Actually, it might be the case we covered last week. We covered a case last week of a girl who did bad things with dog and recorded it and then put it on the internet. She was arrested in Carolina last week, and they believe she may have charges in other counties where she filmed some of her explicit content with the canine. So we covered that about a week ago. So yeah, I know. If the cops ever raid my house and take my computer, I don't know what my evidence might sound like, but they're gonna be like, this guy's got like murders and people dismembered, and there's like a girl with a dog, and like this guy's a sick freak. Like, and then they'll be like, oh, he has a true crime channel. Oh, that explains some of it. That explains like 10% of it. Gayla says, girl with a dog is a dog cat grooming channel on YouTube. Is it? Girl with dogs is a dog. Okay. Rachel said, just why would you steal swans? I don't know. Is there some sort of black market for swans? Do they sell them at the market or something? I don't know. Blaze says, damn swan swipers. I think black swans may be rare. I've never seen a black one and I've traveled extensively. I don't know if I've ever seen one either. Hey Taz, what's up? How's it going? Sorry, no punctuation? Yeah. It's like 6:11. What time did we hop on? I think we hopped on at like 4, right? Hopefully tonight we don't have the video go down overnight. I hope that doesn't happen again. I will try get last night's replay back online. That's the first time that's ever happened that where we've tried to edit out a copyright thing and it's not come back up. I don't know why it happened. We will try get it back online. Jojo says yes, they sell them. Oh. Blaze says yeah, I've never heard of such a thing. Yeah, there's plenty of them in WA. They got too many. You want them? We'll send them to Florida. We'll send them to the USA. Taz says, have you seen the case of the two boys in Travis, Florida? 10-year-old dropped off in ED critical. 10-year-old. Hold on, let me see. In Florida. I see a 9-year-old, but that one was not that. Hold on, 10-year-old. Oh yeah, it's an abuse case out of Tavares. Yeah, they're saying here it's clear that to this agency that the child underwent gruesome abuse. It's very sad. Far out. It was about 4 days ago, apparently. WSVN.com has the bigger story. We don't do a ton of abuse cases, and it's because I do some, but I don't do a ton of child cases. They're just very hard to deal with, and yeah. I mean, it's not that they shouldn't be shared on YouTube or True Crime or whatever. I just personally find them very hard to cover. I don't really like covering them very much, but it's very sad. I hope he lives, or if he's still in hospital. Sounds like he's fighting for his life. I don't see an update. Yeah, it says his mum and a man was arrested. He's fighting for his life in hospital. They say there was also a second child, age 9, was also found at the property. They say he was also tortured. Methodical is the word they're using. Methodical. Very sad. Very sad. I hope he's okay. Oh, she was a nurse? You wonder about these nurses. There's so many great people that are healthcare professionals like nurses and things like that, and they take such pride in their work. And I feel like when someone is arrested that is a nurse or a doctor, they all feel personally responsible because it puts a black cloud over the like everyone else, and they take such very serious pride about caring for other people, and it's like their life work. So I feel sorry for all the other registered nurses who again have to deal with one of their own being a loser. Jonas says, any news about the Green Beret case? No. I don't have anything about Colin. I have nothing. Oh, no, sorry, Colin. Clinton. I have no new information about Clinton. They haven't said anything. No press update. They haven't said who the body is. They haven't said what they found in the search warrant. Nothing new. I mean, I can quickly check his sister. So his sister may have posted something, but she's gone quiet. She was posting all the time, and then all of a sudden, about 10 days ago, she stopped doing updates. So, Stephanie. So his sister's name is Stephanie Firkin, and I'm trying to find out whether she has any new updates. Give me a sec. I'm just trying to get into Facebook. Let's see. Stephanie. Okay, Clinton. Clinton Bonnell. Sorry, guys. Apparently, sometimes her name pops up and sometimes it doesn't. So I have to search Clinton's name for anything to come up. What the hell? Okay, that's very strange. So, like, nothing's showing up all of a sudden. Here, hold on. All right, here we go. Breaking. Nope. Sorry, I'm just searching through this cases. Nope, not that person. It's weird. I don't know if she's put her account on private. Okay, Stephanie. Come on. Facebook loading very slowly. Yeah, I don't see anything new, and I don't see any. It's very strange. Normally, when you search for him, his sister popped up as the first result, and now it's not doing that. It's just popping up with other true crime people. Missing person, that one. Yeah, maybe she's put her account on private all of a sudden. I'm not seeing anything that you guys would find interesting that we haven't already talked about. And yeah, very strange that her account's not coming up in the search results anymore. Maybe they've already got word that that body they found is Clinton. That would make sense why she's locked down her accounts, maybe. Maybe they do know that it is him. Carolina says, how very sad and rude at the same time. Yes. The SAS isn't called the Tan Berets. That's right. Plenty of black swans in Tassie. I was in Tasmania like a couple of months ago. I had a lot of fun down there. I had a great time. We were up in Wynyard, and we're up in there in the northwest corner of Tasmania. Had a great time. Went to a wedding. It was very fun. All right. No updates on Clinton right now. Maybe tomorrow I'll keep searching. I don't know why his sister's account has all of a sudden disappeared from Facebook. It seems like it's just not there anymore. If I get more information, I'll post it. If you want to keep talking true crime outside of the show, my social media on Twitter is where I post 99% of updates throughout the day, updates on cases, Amber Alerts, things like that. It's very simple. It's at Nights with Ping. That's it. And yeah. All right. Give me 1 sec. I have to check something, then we can get out of here. I do want to thank a few people, very, very kind people. I want to thank my friend Robbie T. Thank you, my sweetheart. I really appreciate that donation. It's very kind. And my friend, Woman of Steel, thank you so much. That is very kind. It's very, very sweet of you. And Kathy Lynch from yesterday. You guys are all amazing, and they help out a lot. I promise. Thank you very much for those donations. We don't talk donations during the show. We just talk true crime. I do it at the end. Say thank you to people. It's very kind. But for like the entire show, we just talk information, facts, new things that you need to know. I can't stand those shows where like every 2 minutes they're like, "Hey, we got donations. Hey, look, there's a link to send a donation. Hey, you know this show runs on donations." Like I can't. I no, I will never do that to you guys. I'd rather just tell you the information and let you guys have a great show, and the other stuff will happen anyway. Joe says, "I'm glad I checked out your channel based on a Web Sleuth's recommendation. I used to work with them. I don't know if a lot of people know, but I'm actually from Web Sleuths originally, and then about a year ago, I created my own channel. But it's all thanks to them. They're the ones who got me onto YouTube and gave me an opportunity to be a creator, and it's all thanks to them. So I'm glad that they did that, and thanks for coming and subscribing. It's very, very kind. And we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday Nights with Ping. It'll probably be a little earlier tonight. I didn't know Trish wasn't going to be on tonight or the night before, but I will be back tomorrow, probably about 10:30. Yes, 10:30, and we'll be on a bit earlier rather than 2 a.m. in the morning. So Sunday nights, Web Sleuths doesn't do a show at all, ever. They've never done it in many years now. So I normally take the earlier show on a Sunday night. So I'll see you then. I love you all very much. Mrs. P is feeling a little bit better. She's feeling better the last couple of days than what she was in the week. She was really ill. During the week, she was very, 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 very sick, unfortunately. But she has been feeling a lot better. So that's good. I appreciate it, Aussie True Crime. Did you reply to my thing before? Hold on. I feel like I'm being really rude. Hold on. You did not, but that's okay. Yeah. You check out all creators. I'm supportive of everyone. Like I have friends throughout YouTube, like Kresher and Web Sleuths and other people. I'm happy to recommend anyone's channel. So check out this channel. More Australians. The more Australians, the better. We need to take over the world. All right. I love you all. Have a great night. Have a great Sunday morning for the rest of you. And I'll see you Monday afternoon for me and Sunday nights for you. Peace out. I love you all. Have a great evening. Evening for us. I'll have a great evening. You have a great morning. Good night, everyone. Bye.